Told the budget bottom line is going to be a lot better when Labor's first budget is handed down in October to the tune of some $50 billion. But we know as well the budget is in serious deficit. There is, in fact, a structural deficit to the budget. For that reason, the $50 billion won't be handed out as goodies. Joining me now live is Shadow Finance Minister Jane Hume. Thanks very much for your time. Look, this is what we saw under the coalition under Labor too. Often the result is better than the forecast. And again, the story here has been, in particular, mining profits. The price, for example, of iron ore so much higher than expected. Any comment as to what Labor's saying on this? Just that they'll bank it essentially and not spend it? Is that the right approach?
Tom, what we heard yesterday from Jim Chalmers was that even with these record terms of trade, even with record low unemployment, and with this $50 billion budget turnaround, the only thing that Jim Chalmers is promising is more taxing and more spending. In fact, the Finance Minister, Katy Gallagher, couldn't nominate a cent of this $50 billion budget turnaround that would be banked onto the bottom line of the budget. And the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, couldn't promise whether there would be any cost of living relief for ordinary Australians. All that he promised was that there would be a conversation about more taxes in the future. I think that's really disappointing. What we did learn yesterday, even though we haven't actually seen the details of the final budget outcome, what we did learn yesterday was that when the coalition government left government, we left the economy in a strong position, we left the budget in an improving position, and things were looking better. But this inheritance that Labor have received, they are going to squander on taxing and spending rather than banking to the budget bottom line or helping Australians out with ordinary cost of living relief.
So interesting word you used there, the economy in a strong position, true. Then you said the budget in an improving position. The budget is in a structural deficit of about $40 billion, and the coalition didn't address that in its last budget throughout the 4 years. That's the reality of the situation of the budget right now, isn't it?
Well, Tom, you and I have spoken many times over the last 2 years where we found ourselves in a position where our main priority, our only priority, was to save lives and livelihoods. And in fact, at the end of 2019, we saw a dramatically improving budget bottom line before COVID hit. But now that COVID has come to an end and we are in that recovery phase, what we're seeing is that the coalition had the economy set up in a position that was dramatically improving, that the budget bottom line was improving, but Labor have come to government promising cost of living relief for ordinary Australians, promising an improvement to the budget bottom line, and they're not going to deliver either of them. In fact, they're not going to bank that $50 billion. They're not going to bank that $50 billion improvement to the budget bottom line, and they're not going to promise any cost of living relief for ordinary Australians.
Well, it sounds like it'll be banked to me, but let's just clarify again, the coalition, your government handed down a budget in May. That was for 3 years following. You could have started to address the budget deficit in that time. That was well beyond COVID times, and you didn't.
Well, in fact, when we left government with a dramatically low unemployment. In fact, with a 3 in front of it and improving. Of course, when unemployment is low, tax receipts. Yes, exactly right. And when unemployment is low, tax receipts go up. More importantly, when unemployment is low, welfare dependency goes down. That's how you improve the budget bottom line. And in fact, that's probably one of the major contributors to this $50 billion budget turnaround. Now, we haven't seen the final budget outcome, but we do know that around $28 billion is because of increased receipts and around $22 billion is because of decreased payments. But we haven't seen the details of exactly what has made up of those budget bottom lines.
Yeah, so we'll see them, and that's fair enough. But the thing about a structural deficit is not that you just bring down the deficit via great tax receipts. The point is that in an average year, that's what you have to consider from a budget. Average year, solid unemployment, solid prices on iron ore, but nothing stratospheric. The budget is in deficit. The point about that is you have to tackle it with structural decisions, not just having low unemployment. So what are they? Are they tax hikes or are they cost cutting? Is
Tom,
that what needs to happen to address
I think you and I are in. We're in Tom, you and I are in vehement agreement here, and one of the best ways to improve the budget bottom line is to make sure that your tax receipts are increased, and that's why you want low unemployment and low dependency on welfare. That's why our focus in government was jobs, jobs and more jobs, and you heard that refrain over and over again. That's exactly the situation that we left government in, with unemployment with 3 in front of it, and improving and coming down.
But even with that astonishingly low unemployment
and lower levels of welfare.
But even with all of that,
dependency.
This is the point of a structural deficit. Even with all of that, the budget is in deficit. This is the point. You need decisions beyond what we have right now, beyond our settings, to get it into surplus, or even, just to get to a neutral setting. So what are they? Are they increased taxes?
And that's exactly
or do we need real cost cutting?
And that's exactly what we're not. And that's exactly what we're not hearing from the Albanese government right now. In fact, all they're saying is they're going to spend more. They announced during the campaign that there would be $45 billion worth of off-budget balance sheet spending, and $18 billion more of on-balance sheet spending, so on-budget spending. So, this is essentially, they only have one choice, that is to tax more and spend more. Now, if you're an ordinary Australian family that's already feeling the pinch in the pocket, already feeling it at the Bowser, already feeling it at the grocery checkout, already feeling the interest rates going up when they pay their mortgages every week, what they don't want to hear is that they're also going to be taxed more. That's not how you make cost of living relief for ordinary Australians.
So at some point in this term,
the
coalition will outline broad cost-cutting measures that would get the budget back into surplus. Is that the coalition's ultimate plan?
Tom, I would love to be in government so that I had all the information in front of me to make those decisions. But the fact is, I'm not. I'm in opposition.
But I'm just asking
government's
about
responsibility is to make those big decisions about what it is that they're going to cut and what it is that they intend to tax. At the moment, all we hear is Jim Chalmers coming out making these sort of grand announcements about a $50 billion surplus, which he will not attribute as an inheritance of the previous government, but a $50 billion improvement to the budget bottom line, and yet at the same time he won't say, is he going to improve the budget? Is he going to bank that, or is he going to spend it on cost of living relief for ordinary Australians? He's going to do neither of those things. In fact, that $50 billion improvement in the budget bottom line is going to go to the spending agenda of this Labor government, a high spending, high taxing agenda. That's what bread and butter budgets look like.
I'm not sure I heard them talk about more spending, but look, we'll know soon enough. Jane Hume, thank you.
That's what they said in the budget, Tom. Thanks, Tom.